described was taking something worth like $2 or less. And we're talking about people who are taking millions and sometimes billions of dollars. And all that, by the way, since you use the term measurable, I will use the term documented, has been documented. So I don't know whether the cause and effect really is as measurable as you think, given the narrow parameters that are being used to define crime.
If I might respond to that a little bit, I don't think we were talking about crime. I think we were talking about civility.
But you brought up crime. So why did you bring it up if you didn't want to talk about it?
Well, it's one of the data points that I think correlates to what I'm saying. But even if you measure civility, I think it actually depends more on education than more so than crime. But yeah, we can have that debate, but that's not the debate I really want.
I spent over the last 2 years. I spent several weeks each year in rural poor Appalachia or Appalachia, depending on where you live and what you prefer. Oh my God, I've had people who said, I lived in Appalachia all my life. I've never heard it called Appalachia. And then I've heard people who say, I lived in Appalachia all my life. I never heard it called Appalachia. So, but you know where I'm talking about. I spent time in Kentucky and in West Virginia and in Pennsylvania. I stayed in small towns. I've met people who literally don't have running water. And they're as nice and as civil as can be. Why is that? I don't know how measurable really your argument is. Doctor, followed by Ben, followed by David.
Thank you. Anyway, I tend to give my own perspective coming from an Asian thing. Fantastic topic. I really liked it. And I think the answer is yes. For one thing, that is because somebody like you thought about civility, that word itself. So that means humanity is not lost. That makes me really hopeful. So somebody is thinking about civility, somebody would like to talk about
please don't hang your hat of hope on the shoulders of Spirit. Oh my God, please don't do that. I cannot live up to that, but thank you for what you said.
Sure. So that means it's there. And my way of looking at it is that man inherently has that aspect, the feelings, right? We may see lots of bad things that we hear, we discuss, and then sometimes we lose hope. But I think the resonant frequency, the fundamental frequency is to be hopeful, being good to others, whatever that you define as good. Say the simplest things. So in that sense, yes, civility is going to return, because I also feel that what goes up has to come down. So it is a circle of life. Things go up and down, and sometimes we think that it's really bad or it's already too good. So, but the only thing is that we don't know what is the peak and what is the dip. So, in that sense, being hopeful is always a good option. I also would like to mention one more thing. Probably this is something that we have to inculcate and also practice. This long time back, almost like 35 years back, I saw this in one of my local newspapers. That was a quote by Confucius. I may not exactly repeat the quote, but more or less I tell what he was talking about. It's a nice sentence. It said, if you see a good man, think of emulating him. And if you see a bad one, examine your own heart. It was such a fantastic thing. And then I was actually sort of a little over teenager. But somehow this is with me for more than 35 years now, even a little more. So this is something that I tell everyone. Whenever you think desperate, whenever you think very bad, whenever you feel so depressed, think of it. Once we start looking inside, we will be as good as somebody else and as bad as someone else. So in that sense, we should be able to come back to our natural frequency, the fundamental frequency, which is being calm and good. So these are the two aspects that I wanted to tell from the not so political point of view or the current affairs or anything. The other point that I want to say is that yes, we are in times, because many other speakers also spoke about it, the social media and then the politics and things like that. It's not only in America, it's not only in Europe. I'm also witnessing some such things, or more such things rather, even in India. So it's around the globe, these things are happening. I think it is for a purpose. More and more people will start talking about it, and once things cross a threshold, I think people will automatically come back to the calmness, the quietness, and something which is good for everyone. So that's my hope. And also, in a way, this is my observation of my life. Things are not going to be always bad. Things are not going to be always paradise. So, in that sense, let us keep hoping. Gary, thank you so much.
Yes, let's try to keep this as positive as possible. I don't know whether we can. Ben, followed by David. Ben.
Hi, Gary. Yeah, I think the previous speaker mentioned Confucius. Definitely, I think Confucius has a lot of interesting, very useful wisdom, even in modern lives. The fact that that saying that he quoted, emulate a good man when you see one man, good person, and then when you see a bad person, look at yourself, examine yourself. I think that sense of self sort of examination, introspective, and sort of putting yourself in other shoes, that I think is very important and useful in bringing civility back in our society. I think another speaker before me mentioned tribalism. I think civility as a means of maintaining an order in society is a very useful concept, because without civility, we would be back in the olden days where, might is power, and whoever's tallest, strongest will get the most amount of food, etc., etc. So human beings have evolved over the years, whatever thousands of years, to a point where we believe that having a sense of order is actually a positive thing for the survival of the race, instead of completely ruleless, if you will, which is, get the civility concept out of the picture. You just do whatever you want. And so we have reached, at least accomplished, sort of a common ground of understanding having that type of civility is positive. And I'm hopeful that that civility has not permanently disappeared in our collective consciousness. consciousness. And what we're seeing in the last few years, especially with the atmosphere, whether it's the president and his cabinet members, as well as congressional, or for that matter, even the courts. I remember when Justice Ginsburg and Justice Scalia, being on really almost the opposite sides of the political spectrum in terms of their judicial philosophy, they were both civil to each other, and generally speaking, that was well accepted and considered not a hindrance in expressing their disagreement with each other. So I think by the courts nowadays, I'm seeing less and less that type of civility. So certainly, that's why we're talking about this issue. We're sensing a lack of civility, especially from our president with the airplane, the meme that he published. That's a really extreme example. But I think human nature is such that civility is something that we treasure, we value, and it will help us maintain an orderly society. Now, the question to me is, how do we judge civility? How do we, first of all, define civility, which is relatively easy, but how do we maintain that civility? Is it the civility where we would use some sort of replacement criteria? For example, maybe language, maybe religion, maybe ethnicity, sort of the tribalism that somebody else was talking about. And in my book, I think, at least for the United States, the rule of law is a very effective tool to maintain what I considered workable civility versus using some other criteria that I just mentioned previously. And I think the Constitution is a great example of being not a super well drafted novel or literature piece, but just as a set of rules that we all agree to abide by, and that is maintained relatively sort of civility in the orderly conduct of the society in the U.S. up until, I guess, nowadays when the president is starting to challenging the Constitution, being whether he wants to adhere to that or not. So come next few years, if we do have another president, knock on wood, that he will not be the third term or fourth term president, then I think civility will be back. And we will soon realize whether it's Confucius' teaching or whether it's the practicality of maintaining an orderly society. We would consider civility is something that's positive that we would all like to have. The last thing I want to say is a technical aspect of civility disappearing or being less of an important concept has something to do with technology. Specifically, the phenomenon where humans are more and more connecting via virtual world, whether it's online, whether it's video, or for what we're doing, Clubhouse, compared to physically face-to-face gather around a bonfire or a living room couch table having conversations. So for that matter, I think civility, in my mind, that contributes to the disappearing of civility, just because it's so much easier to scream and yell and curse you over the phone versus right in front of your face. Imagine, Gary, if we were having a conversation on the train, facing each other, I think it would be very different for me to be so mad and screaming at you versus holding the phone in my face and then just wanting to hear you say, so for that, I highly encourage
David, don't end this on a downer. You're up.
No, try not to, Gary. You know, Ben and Don and me, obviously cited some great writings. You know, I like to cite the great Buddha. Through many of my travels, I've had to understand why these cultures would build such massive edifice to this man who believed in simplicity. And one of his core tenets of his suffering, life is impermanent. So while we suffer under Trump, we have the knowledge of knowing it's hopefully not permanent. And you know, Gary, I say that because with life and pain and suffering, we do need guidance, we do need insights on how to navigate. But for many Americans, suffering is taking the for many Americans, suffering is going to be involving their health care, seeing their loved ones shackled and taken away by ICE. You know, there's you know, the tariffs and the farmers and those that have been impacted by it. So, you know, while we pivot, we navigate, and we try to find a way to fight what it is that is before us, it's very important that we do that civilly, irrespective of the damage or the outcomes that we're seeing. We didn't see civility on January 6th when there were those who rained on the White House, or excuse me, the Capitol building, believing that the election was stolen. Was there a better way to address that versus being uncivil? And so I think we need to look at this nation and how things have been transacted when civility was involved. You know, we can go back as far as Abraham Lincoln, and we have President Trump addressing reporters today, or writers, whoever it was today or yesterday, that he thinks he's a better president than Lincoln or Washington. Well, to go back to your comments, Gary, about who's willing to sacrifice themselves on the altar of right and wrong to stand up to truth, to stand up to justice. And we can go back to Lincoln, who during the Great Civil War and the problems facing the nation, whether or not the nation was going to be divided into two, Frederick Douglass showed up and said,
"Hey, Mark.
Mr. President, you're the President of the United States."
I'm in Gary Baumgarten's room, and this guy David is speaking. David, who knows everything.
One of these things is in a few minutes.
Oh, great.
You know about that thing that Make a Great thing they do once a week?
Yeah, I've listened to it. I've raised my hand. They don't invite me up. I was on there once, and then they never let me back up. But, you know.
Okay, so this is so funny. They've invited me to be the guest for this week.
Yeah, that's great. That's great publicity. Really
What
take.
should I do? Want me to say anything? Or?
No, just be yourself, be genuine, and, you know, it's great publicity. That guy does a good job.
Oh, Max kind of thinks they're clowns.
Oh, you're gonna. I don't know. You're so nice. I can't see them being rude to you. So I think it's a great press opportunity for you.
Oh, I just saw you just texted me, and I it starts in 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go see if they're there yet.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be listening in.
No big deal. Well, you know, Max just told me, by the way, is like there's a lot of news about the Democrats at the state may actually change the districts, and it's all targeting people of hood. Do you know about that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you know, in other words, how can they go from 3 Republicans to 2? And the best way to do it would be to pick one district to gerrymander, and to change, and that's the one. Isn't that funny?
Well, if you really look at Rockford, Peoria, Bloomington, the biggest towns, the main city centers are all Democrat. They gutted it.
I bet they are.
So it's already, how much more can they extract? I don't understand.
Yeah, they have to they probably draw a bridge going all the way to Chicago or something. They could make it look any way that, it doesn't matter how silly it looks.
I don't understand. I see videos of Border Patrol agents walking around Mount Prospect, just walking around in the neighborhood. It's like,
I saw that too. I saw that.
What the F is that? What kind of targeting is that?
I don't know.
Strange. It may be wrong place, wrong time, but.
Yeah, I went by Kentucky yesterday. Nobody was around.
Oh, wow.
I went in the morning though, but there was like no protesters. Nothing was going on.
So when are you going to drive down to Springfield?
Oh yeah, you want to? I can meet you. So my plan. Do you want to be there? You want to try to be first, right? Or do you?
Yeah, I mean October 27th. I'll drive down that Monday probably.
But I'm telling people, like, if you're going to be challenged and you think if you get more signatures, it might be worth waiting a week and having a week extra signatures, you know?
Yeah, I do have more people responding on Craigslist. Hopefully this one guy.
I don't think if you're in a two-man race, that it matters much at all. You're first or second. In fact, in your case, it doesn't matter at all because if people they either hate him or they like him, it doesn't matter whether he's first or second, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's up to you. But if you want to be first, then you got to get there before. I'm not sure what time they open on Monday, but before they open, as long as you're in the line before they open, then even if LaHood is there, then you'll be in a lottery with LaHood. You know, even if he's in the front, you're in the back, it doesn't matter as long as you're there early enough before they open. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you need to be first. It doesn't matter.
I kept asking Max.
There'll be 100 people in the line, maybe more. I did a lot of that.
Really? Holy cow.
Yeah. So, but whatever. If it's an all-in advantage to be first, then it might be worth going. See, if you don't go Monday morning, you'll very likely not be first. You'll be second on the ballot. You know, second in order. But the thing is, you'll have an extra week to file, and when you do file, there will be no one, maybe zero. There's only a line really at the beginning that first day.
Okay.
There's no line.
Yeah, I'll probably skip that. Then I'll probably go like, I don't know.
I think if I were you, I would, just because he's got so much money, he might try to knock you off, and you kick yourself if you got knocked off by a few, and you could have waited a few days to get more. But it just depends on where you feel you are.
Where does the challenge take place? Downtown Chicago at the Illinois Election Commission?
Yeah, that's what the filing is in Springfield, but the challenge, at least when I did it with Max, it was in Chicago. I wonder in yours. I don't know. I don't know because yours isn't in Cook County, so maybe it won't be for you in Cook. I'm not sure.
I mean, the only other option would be back in Springfield, right?
Probably, I think. I don't. Max was in like Lake County, Cook County, and.
It's got to be Chicago because they got to centralize the whole state, right?
Yeah, but I doubt that maybe people drive from like St. Louis all the way to Chicago. But maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so you can look on that thing and see that. That SBE website. I'm sure it says it on there.
Well, regardless of whether it turns out good or bad for me, it's been a really great experience. I can't thank your son enough for,
like that. That's weird.
Oh, I have. Just getting on that ballot will be the victory.
They're so pissed with the shutdown and all this stuff. I don't know. Don't you get this a lot? Like people hate him. Republicans hate him, right?
I read that Trump was going to bail out the soybean farmers, and LaHood and Trump are tight. So if LaHood can get that bailout, Trump will technically buy the election for LaHood. But who am I, to stop him anyways? I mean, but if even the Democrat candidates, they're just a bunch of nobodies. So I don't know. LaHood's got 10 million.
Just a lot of shit is going on. Who knows what's going to happen between now and March. I guarantee you there will be significant events that will happen, and we can't even imagine what it.
Yeah, I mean it's.
God forbid, it's not only current anything. We don't know. A war.
Well, the government shutdown. Who knows? Like there could be another pandemic. There could be all kinds of crazy
That's
swan events.
This gerrymandering thing could come into play. Think about that. If they gerrymander it, people would be pissed. I'm just talking about the primary. They'll be pissed if they got gerrymandered and they might
But how?
vote for the other guy.
I'll try to find the article. But how in the world is the Illinois Senate or Illinois representatives changing the districting when all that's done through the census?
So you got to ask them that. Apparently, the states, like Pittsburgh and the state Senate or state house, can do it.
They sue though. They have to sue the federal government.
It's not straightforward, but it's possible.
They have to sue the federal government because that's what Newsom is doing. He's suing the federal government for the redistricting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that must be it. Yeah.
I mean, anyways, but well, good luck on this interview. They can be tough cookies, but I'm sure you can handle them. And
Think about all our experience on Clubhouse. There's much compared to Clubhouse and stuff.
I know, and they got the one guy Libs of Chicago. He has a very big X account where he posts a lot of Chicago stuff, so he's kind of famous and he's a nice guy. Max has a little conflict with everybody on X, but
Max is kicked off. They can't be on it.
yeah, I don't know why they kicked him off that 560. He said he was getting censored there, but this is life. There are censors, and the people you're talking to are censors as well.
I'm gonna find out. Get a little bit. I'm just curious. I don't like that. Conservative radio shouldn't be censoring anybody for if they're getting at the truth.
Well, when I talk,
coming out now, like DeVore wants to sue Croft, and I mean, Max is early. That now, Jeannie Ives is into it. Everybody else is into this thing. The lawsuit came out, and maybe they shouldn't have disclosed it, but they did. Who leaked it? Blah blah blah. There's a lot of. It's like it's strong. It's good.
yeah. Oh, Norma, welcome.
Yo, hello, gentlemen, friend.
Hey, Nora, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing, buddy?
Just great. How are you, Mark?
John, Norm and I went to 770 and the neighborhood over there in Crown Heights. Yeah, we had the best time. Went to a Febrien.
Oh, wow.
It was fun.
We can do that. Next time I come, Norm, I will call you. I would love to do that.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that. And I took advantage of one of your ideas, and I flew to Eric Heathrow from Europe, and it was much smarter than flying directly from the U.S. It was so much more convenient.
I know, it's crazy. You get there and it's like nothing. And my flight from Rome cost $80.
Well, I didn't have that benefit because I went during the war, and it was so I flew El Al because of the missile defense systems. Plus, it might have been the only thing flying. I think Ryanair hasn't put their missile defense system up yet, but whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. But I had so much fun, man.
That's cool. When did you get back? When were you there?
I was there in April. So it was a while back, but it's still pretty fresh in my mind. And I flew El Al, and I'd already gotten over my jet lag because I'd been in Europe for a couple of weeks, so it made so much more sense. And I got to the gate, and all the Haredi were davening, and I jumped right in, like.
You're the white guy.
Yeah. And we took over one of the gates that was closed in the airport. The airport security, this was like in Heathrow, they wanted to throw us out, but like it's a crowd of, what are you gonna do? It was so funny, man. The whole thing was a trip.
I was telling John I have to go. I'm being a guest on this weekly podcast over on Twitter, so I'm going to go do that.
Well, you should include the link so we can
I will. I'll pin the link. I'll pin the link to the room, and we'll.
Is election day coming up for you?
No, not for March, but Okay. Wait, John, do you have the link? Can I send it to you?
Yeah, I got it. Let me pull it from my ex. I'll pin it to this room. Okay, I'll see you there.
Okay, good luck.
We'll be listening.
Okay.
Let me get the link. It's a local Chicago independent news agency called can't remember what they call themselves, but they're associated to this guy who runs an X account called Libs of Chicago. He calls himself an activist. Socialism is another word for theft. I cannot be bought.
All right. Do me a favor and text it to me. I'm in a work zone, so I have to stay in the zone, and I don't want to be rude to you and ignore, so I'm just gonna skip around.
Oh, no worries.
I'll try to tune into the Mark thing. Could you text it to me?
I will, yeah.
Okay, and always good to see you. Good luck.
Okay, thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, wow. I just go to my braces. Maybe I'm blocked. Okay, I'm gonna end this one. This is in the critical thinking after party. Or maybe I'll leave it open. Fuck it. See who shows up. Okay, this is John for Congress. Scott. Welcome to the Critical Thinking After Party with Canada John. I don't want to steal Uncle Steve's glory, but I think I don't think Uncle Steve is working today. I don't know. You're on Clown House. So welcome to the Critical Thinking After Party, where we will review Gary Baumgarten's show, where he talks to people and he says, if you're poor, you still don't have to be a criminal. And he says he goes to the Appalachia. Some people say Appalachia, some people say Appalachia. But even if you look like your whole life and you say Appalachia and you think it's not Appalachia, well, they got manners. They got manners in those hill countries. Can you hear me?
Karaoke, wonderful to play like this. I'll show you 3 songs.
I'm going to try to go on this phone. Oh, we got people watching over here. I don't really want to take you out of your live stream, but I'm trying to find a cell phone.
You had El Normo, right?
I had El Normo in here. He's now in Get Snatched talking to Doc. But what I'm trying to do is...
numbers for El Normo.
What'd she say?
It's like 200 numbers to keep El Normo. El Normo is like a massive stage. Probably with black people who can diagnose it, like or anti-Zionist or something. Like if you're just got a friendly state, Norm, it's not for him.
He had spent a lot of time on this app. I have recorded him quite a bit. He's in a lot of my recordings. Well, I'm having a hard time finding this other X space. I really like Gary Baumgarten's room. I mean, I like the fact that you turn off.
It's a great room. It's a great room.
Yeah, I'll tell you, aren't those Asian people super smart who are basically talking about emotional intelligence over and over and over again? Pretty smart, dude. Have you ever heard about how rich Singapore is? I mean, they're fucking. I just saw they just minted a new naval boat, fully autonomous, massive aerial defense, underwater defense. The thing is like a multi-billion-dollar weapon of mass destruction. I imagine they are countering China, but it's like, what can actually counter China when you're just a tiny little archipelago nation? Wow. So, what's interesting about Instagram is you can no longer do live. You can't go live anymore. You have to have 1,000 followers. So, we got an Anon in here.
I think I knew that one.
Who was it, Jane?
I think it was your friend.
It was Jane.
I've seen it. You've seen it.
That was me.
I knew it. The American flag.
Wow.
Wait, when did it come out? That's Grace.
Hello. Hi, John.
Hey, Jane.
Scott.
I think I added you on Instagram.
Oh. Thank you. Did I accept you?
I'm not sure. I can't remember which account I tried. You show up in the suggestions.
You got a lot. So I'll look into that. So how is the critical thinking forum?
It was good. It's talking about how classism and that determines in so many ways the outcome of your ethical and moral and integrity, um, and your education as a result. So it's funny hearing international speakers say, yeah, like you have a problem because your inner city had no education and therefore all have emotional disturbance disorder.
Is that Tiger?
Yeah, there's another guy who's just like Tiger's doppelganger. They said like the exact same thing.
Not all Asians, but all self-righteous people like that.
I don't know if they're self-righteous, but they're giving their honest opinion. And they live in probably Singapore.
Wow, Singapore is special. Scott, have you been to Singapore? Me either.
I need to go once.
Yeah?
But yeah, I didn't know that. We've walked on the plane for around, yeah.
Go now while you're nice and slim. It's a good time. Not that you're
But
not
now-
going. Yeah.
The Yam is already here. It's still a nice big town.
John, can you believe Scott's transformation?
What, like his
Just the way
positivity?
he's, no, he's always positive. His workout schedule alone. It's impressive to me.
Everything you'll get done. Everything.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming out.
It would be great if we were like 24-year-olds with a great ass, on Instagram, wowing people. I know this girl who has this psychic star chart reading business, her own app, 500,000 followers. She's selling a book. I mean, this chick has made like $500,000 on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, just pushing Scorpio, zodiac, astrology. It's called Astrobella or Astrobella Luna. Anyways, I'm just saying that, marketing and communication and publishing, sex sells, and, Jane doesn't want to be modded in the critical thinking after party.
Well, I can't. You can't because I have too many people blocked that you might like in here. I agree with you. Sex sells, and especially as the mother of a 28-year-old, beautiful, objectively beautiful, not just because she's my daughter. I do think sometimes, is she gonna have to just cash in on this? She's getting old. She better try one of these things. She's very into astrology too, John.
Well, it's a little bit like publishing a record or music. It's really all it is. And it's all about how you present it and publish it and, how professional you are and the branding, the image, the consistency. It's like creating, hundreds of spam videos, and hopefully all of your spam videos are super professional because unlike me, I have, people who scream at me and say, you do yoga in your underpants.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. So what?
Well, the thing is, it's like,
You might have this point where I think you probably get a great answer.
couldn't make out what you said, but
You said you're hot, John. You think you're hot?
My signal
well, Scott's not the individual or the target demographic of who I want, to think that I'm hot. I want some beautiful girls in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s saying, you know what, John? Keep doing yoga. Here's another $10.
And some new underpants. Yeah.
I did. I got new undies, new socks, because I didn't want to have to do any laundry because I had this guy in the basement that I didn't want to have to come across.
If you're in a city, can't you bring it to a wash, dry, and fold place?
No, I got
At night?
2 washing machines in my basement. I just got to get
Oh.
yeah. So, anyways, we were. Didn't Uncle Steve, wasn't he doing a critical thinking after party? But maybe not tonight. I don't know. I didn't see it. But I'm listening to the Doc show in Got Snatched with Serendipity and Mike, and I've been recording all day. I have a second recording studio in my house, in my yoga room where I live stream. And I will tell you that the amount of time that people are on this app when they have children and jobs and houses, all kinds of responsibilities, it's just absolute. Maybe it's because I'm not an Apple iPod person, but I like siloing, segmenting, categorizing. But I'll tell you, people, I'm doing it right now, but people just love hearing their voice. That's what's happening.
Mike Moon likes that room, so yeah. Me too. Mike Moon and I had a surreal experience where he wanted to, whatever it's called, private, ping me, to have a one-on-one chat. We did, but I couldn't hear him. I mean, he couldn't hear me. But the guy was so into talking. I said in the chat, I can hear you. So he didn't need me to respond. And I thought, this is great. You don't even have to deal with me. But he was sticking up for Jews. I like that. I like many things about him. Did you see the federal troops or whatever, ICE agents on Canal Street in New York City, Scott?
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And New Yorkers are like, fuck you.
Yeah, they'll send stormtroopers in there.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you view, arresting illegal aliens? I mean, especially the ones that are committing crimes. Like, there's some people running street scams, intimidating people. Like, how do you view Border Patrol or National Guard arresting known criminals who are illegal aliens and aggressive in the street? Like, you're okay with that, right?
I'm totally fine with that. That's not what they're doing.
Well, that is part of what they're doing. I've seen those arrests.
Yeah, no, but that's not the problem. The problem is everybody's for that. That's why the polls have changed. It's people who are totally for that. Like, oh, sure, yes, it's criminals close the border. Absolutely. But that's not what they do. When Stephen Miller says we need to do 1 million with a quota of 1 million, we have a quota. You're just going into Pizza Hut and the kitchens and I mean, that's the problem. The problem is, I have a friend, conservative from Alabama, and he's totally like into Trump. He's like, you can't just take the criminal. I mean, he's like, dude, he thinks it's overplaying the hand. I mean, it's sort of one of those things where it's just rounding up people. This is the problem politically, right? What the case is. What happens when the law and order, when the order seems more chaotic than the discipline? And that's the benefit, right? Because that's why people like the poll numbers we got, the one thing that integrates. Because people say, no, even among Hispanics that wanted the earlier, so many people are having massive reservations about this.
Go John for Congress.com.
Be right back. I'm going to Serendipity's room.
Amen.
Hey, I just want to say, Scott, I saw you, imitating Donald Trump the other day. It was hilarious, man. Amazing.
I like Congressman Kitover. Okay, I think the guy, he's fantastic. He's running against one of these lifelong Republicans. Okay, kind of like a trans gay Republican. Who's so terrible. The guy that Kitover is running against. I call we have a big, beautiful bill. I call him the big, beautiful candidate. Okay, Kitover. He's so fantastic. Okay, this man, he's very handsome. He's a very handsome, fantastic guy. Kitover. I mean, he loves me. That's what they say. He's more MAGA than Trump. Fantastic.
That was actually really funny. So tomorrow, Scott, I got a guy coming on from Craigslist tomorrow at 8 a.m. who is going to rebrand as a campaign coordinator for the campaign to elect John. So I'm going to have him go into politically correct and other rooms and stump for John, candidate John. Are you doing any interviews coming up for your podcast?
Oh, yeah, we got people. They come from Stanford, he's an expert on deliberative democracy. I've got one of the best nation of story coming up in the country. I have lots about myself up on the right. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. Got some high quality guests coming in.
So how do you partner with a publishing business to essentially be a publicist? Because that's what you're doing.
Now for me, John. I'll touch you in.
Yeah, I mean, you're setting the groundwork for being a publicist.
I look pretty thin right now, buddy. I'm looking at myself in the bathroom meeting here. I look pretty thin, Tom.
Well, dude, I had the most amazing dinner last night, and it's not a sin to eat healthy food. It's a sin to eat junk food.
Well, yeah, it matters to kind of calorie food.
Oh, my friend is here. Zach, I was reading a poem the other day called My Friend.
That's beautiful. I just did jujitsu.
Nice.
I just did jiu-jitsu yesterday for the first time in a year. It was amazing.
Nice, congratulations.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I cannot do ki. To do numbs on my joints.
You mean you're a bitch and your pussy hurts?
That's exactly it. What belt are you?
I am a blue belt. I'm a shitty blue belt. We got some great contribution from Scott right now. Lovely noise from Scott.
No, that was my bad. I didn't know. Thank you. people throwing it out clinically and saying yes and saying bad.
I was complimenting you. What belt are you, Carlos?
I'm a blue belt as well.
Oh, nice. Do you know any jiu-jitsu at all? Or are you just a blue belt?
I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. What do you mean?
Well, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but I feel like I don't really know any jiu-jitsu at all. I just ended up being a blue belt.
Well, I think that they say you don't really know jiu-jitsu until you get your purple belt. So
Right, the blue belt is basically like a committed beginner.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like every blue belt feels the same way. But if you have submitted a few blue belts, then you can. If you haven't submitted any blue belts, then maybe you should get the blue belt. But if you have submitted a few, then feel confident you're a blue belt.
Yeah, I can do some shit. Sometimes, I got one tonight, and they said, good job. Good job, buddy. But it's a long way to go.
So how long have you been training?
I would say about 3 years.
Or
Maybe
that
2.5
narrative
years.
is completely fake and false, and it's just going to come
And you
back
have
to bite us. And it
strikes?
could be from the Democrat side.
I have one
But
strike
anyway,
on my...
Max is engaged in all that, but he's on his own, and there's absolutely nothing I can do to change him, and there's nothing I can do to change Terry or Em. But you can ask Terry and Em. I talk to him anytime I see him. I'm sorry if they hurt you personally. It's not for me, and I don't think anybody should. Everybody's doing this. If they're doing it for the right reasons, they're not making any money off this. It's a volunteer, passionate thing that people are engaged in, and to have to suffer from getting attacked is really beyond the pale. And a lot of people, they get out of it altogether. Then they move states. They leave. Like the last two guys that ran in my spot in the 8th district, one lives in Florida, and one, Larry Cafes, lives in Houston, Texas. They leave. It's really terrible. And I am getting attacked just like Terry and Em. Maybe I don't have, a criminal background or whatever, so they make things up. They completely make things up. And it's I suppose it's hurtful, but for me personally, what I try to do is I just don't pay attention to it. And I think part of me says I'm probably threatening these bad people that are making stories up about me and saying bad things about me, and for the fact that they're so angry that really I'm over the target. I'm exposing some of these evil people, and they just don't like it. Or let's just say they don't want a guy like me to be in Congress because they don't want a truth teller to be in Congress that's got at least a little bit of a bully pulpit or a microphone to be honest about what's going on in the state of Illinois, especially with regards to our complete and utter failure as conservatives to move the needle. And we've got to, and some part of me thinks, this is sort of it's very messy, it's very ugly, and it's very shameful that these different people, including my own son, are attacking each other. And it does get to the point of being juvenile because they're talking about silly, crazy things sometimes. But whether it's juvenile or not, part of it is this is what disruption looks like. When the status quo is completely broken, and for that to change, it's not going to change with the status quo smiling. They're going to kick and they're going to scream and they're going to make up stories and they're going to attack the people that they're afraid of. And so that's going on. So all that's to say that, like you say, he's my son. I love him. I will never not love him. Is he right 100% of the time? Nobody is. Not God is. Nobody's right 100% of the time, but he is right some of the time. But the toxic business where people are just calling each other names and trying to hurt each other personally, I think that's just wrong across the board. But it's not just Max. It goes both directions and all different directions. And this week is a great example of it, like I said, with Tom DeVore and Dan Proft and Jeannie Ives. And how are they any different from Em or Terry or Max? It's kind of the same thing. They're just all arguing. They don't trust each other, and we're not going to agree on everything, like you say. But frankly, we agree on most things. So I would like, and by the way, you're talking to a guy that sent Don Tracy a letter, actually to all the GOP leadership, before I knew how weak and feckless they really were. I offered to pay for, they're called like, they're like psychologists. They're like people that are involved with conflict resolution, just to try to get all these different people together in the room and hash out what we agree on and hash out what we disagree on, but put a map together, because we all agree we must start winning elections to change policy, because people make policy. And if we don't, we're going to have Pritzker and Johnson and these evil communist progressive types completely controlling our lives. So can't we just hold our nose? And if we don't like somebody's background, or you're pro-life, or I'm pro-life and you're pro-choice, who cares? The bigger picture is, let's figure a way to work together at least a little bit, and let's at least try not to tear each other down and try to win some elections. So I'm just, for myself, I've got blinders on a little bit, I'll admit. I'm focused on winning elections, because if we aren't going to win some elections, none of that stuff matters. We're going to be living in China or Russia. I'm going to be, me, or probably you too, we're going to be in a what do they call it, a re-education camp. I mean, these people are freaking nuts. I went by the No Kings thing. We've got nut jobs running our state, and they're completely in control. And we're fighting over, like, some of these issues. I don't even know I have no idea what Max and you've gotten a spat over, but they're like small, little petty things. We need to get over that and try to figure a way to work, at least not work against each other. And if we could work together. That would be much, much better, and try to turn some of these things around.
All right, thanks, Mark. Thanks for addressing it. I appreciate you being open about it. This is going to be the last question of this topic, and then we'll move on. And
like I said, nothing's sacred. You can ask me anything, my family.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being candid about it.
Yeah, 100%.
And the last question that I have is that I think he was helping you with your campaign, or was at least involved in it last time. And from what I've heard and talked to some of the people that I trust and I'm close to, there are people not too happy about it, or it, set off people, some of the people at least, right? So is it going to be involved?
Another rumor. That's
okay. So and that's fine. And if it's not true, then you can address that. And my question,
he's my son, so he'll give me advice, or he'll, just like you.
Okay, so that was advice. Right. So that was my question. Then will he be involved in your current campaign?
No,
he
really hasn't been. He writes this blog, which I'm sure you know about, the Illinois Record, and it's. I mean, I can't be a part of. That's not my campaign. That's what he does, and for him, it's a calling. I think it's from his heart, and I can't stop him from doing it. But it certainly has nothing to do with my campaign or my wanting to win an election. And his agenda is probably similar to all of ours. We all want to sort of right this ship, which is sinking, and part of it is calling out